to say, what is it that we're doing? What awareness are we creating? How are we teaching each other about health? How are we helping each other as well? As women, women, we look after everybody besides ourselves. And, it's actually just a nurturing gift that is born within a woman. So I'm actually going to be doing this session with Dr. Elizabeth. She's a medical doctor by profession. And she hasn't joined us yet. She's going to join us at a later stage. She's actually also a pastor. So she's just concluding some ladies' prayers that she actually also had. So the both of us are going to be hosting you guys tonight and sharing with you today as well about women's health talk. So we're not going to have a lot of time to be able to really go in depth, into each and every single thing and each and every aspect that actually affects women's health. So we're going to try and cover a lot, just to make sure that everybody is included. So everything that I'm going to be sharing is from a young girl to an old age woman across board. So as long as you're a woman, this is going to be applicable to you. So that's how I've tried to structure it. So this is not the first presentation we're actually having. This is actually the second. And the reason why we're actually having these now a bit more is because a lot of ladies also then requested to say, please may you try and ensure that, we have it at least once or twice a month to build awareness, as ladies, to be able to understand, to say, what is it that is expected of us? How do we look after our bodies? How do we look after ourselves? And, one thing that I really love about being a woman is that we are the only, God saw us fit for us to be able to have, the ability to carry another human being and develop a whole human being in your body. It's actually an amazing gift for God to be saying that I'm going to trust you with this. So I honestly really really love all aspects of being a woman, all the good, the difficulties that come with being a woman. So we all know that there's a lot that is there. So we're going to be covering things like hormonal imbalances, infertility, fibroids, UTIs, weight management, and these are the most 5 key elements that impact women as well as lead to other ailments. So there's a lot of ailments that are there, but these are the 5 key aspects that normally then lead to all these other things that we end up experiencing, that then makes us feel, like other ailments that we end up suffering from. So one thing that I'm going to say, the first thing is that, the first wealth that you can have is your health. And this is really, really important because if you're not in your healthy state, then you actually can't execute each and every single thing that you want properly or to the full of your potential, the fullest potential that you want to do it as. So what do I mean when I say this? I know sometimes we talk about, time is money, time is essential, and if you lose time, you can't get it back. But to be honest, in everything that we're doing, whether we're trying to get more money, we're trying to buy houses, we're trying to get properties, we're trying to, develop. And, all the women empowerment nowadays is all about, let's make money, let's be more financially literate, let's level up, which is amazing because I'm really pro that as well. But I also feel like we also need to look at the health aspect, because if you're building a life that you want to live in, a life that you want, a life of your desires, you actually need to be healthy as well. Because it's very difficult to enjoy your money when you're not healthy, And sometimes money can only go as far as well. There's certain things where even money then can't help at that particular stage. So we need to ensure that we are healthy, and for most of us that are here, we are mothers, we are sisters, wives, and those are not just titles. It's actually, positions in family that actually require you to be in your best state of abilities for you to be able to serve, as a wife or as a mother. And especially if you're a parent and you're here, then your health is really important because you want to be here also to ensure that you look after your children and you actually get to see them through life, as they get to go through life and actually succeed and, implement all the things that you have managed to build within them, and teach them. So the first wealth is your health. right? So if for anybody that has been on a plane before, you understand that they always say, should anything happen and the oxygen mask, come out, the airbags, you need to make sure that you put your own oxygen mask on first. Because if you do not do that, you might actually not be able to help other people. You need to ensure that, you put your health first, So this is actually something that is very difficult, especially if as an African woman. It's something that is not easy, because if it is not, your children, you've got your husband, you've got your in-laws, you've got your siblings, you've got your parents, you've got your friends and family, you've got so many people around you, that are all saying, we want your attention, we want you to do this for us, want you to help us, like, I mean, the typical day for any normal, woman is that you wake up every single day, you've got other people in mind, which is the reason why you have to wake up. If you've got children, you need to make sure that they're ready for their day. If you've got a spouse, you need to make sure that the spouse is ready for the day. If you've got family around you, you're going to be thinking to say, okay, what are they eating? What am I doing for them? The next thing, the day is gone. Whether you are in pain or not, you actually don't have the luxury to be able to say, you know what, today I'm just going to listen to my body and I'm just going to relax. Sometimes we don't actually have that luxury. So this is one of the things that we need to be able to understand. So I'm just here to remind us, in Women's Month, to say, our health is really important, our health matters. So make sure that you put your health first when you're doing your budgets, whatever it is that you're budgeting for. Actually make sure that your health is also incorporated into that, because you need to be healthy in order to fulfill your role as a woman as well. So the reason why I actually said that this is, a call out for women only, is because there are so many things that we can discuss in a health talk with men as well, but it becomes a little bit difficult to really go in depth, because you have men there that don't understand certain aspects of women. You've got women that don't understand certain aspects of men as well, right? So by separating the two, it actually also helps us to also be much more free to discuss, and be able to look and say, what am I doing? So even when, as I'm sharing, I don't want you to just be like, okay, I'm listening to what Natasha has to say, or, no, I want you to think about yourself, think about your body, think about the things that, you've learned how to live with, because there are so many things. Our body gives us signs. That's one thing that I really love. It's a self-healing system that, it gives us signs, when there's something wrong that is happening. But most of the time we find ourselves in a position where we learn to live with it. We learn to live with it, and we learn to just accept, to say, this is what it is. So I'm just going to learn to live with the pain, until you get to a point where, a lot of women say, no, my pain threshold is very high. Right? So I want you to be able to think about yourself, think about, the other ladies in your life, think about your mothers, your grandmothers, whoever, that is around you, to say, is there something that, they need to know about? Is this, because I'm actually recording this. So if you want a recording of it, I'm going to put it on YouTube, and I can share the link with you, and you can be able to share with whoever that you want to share the link with, as long as it's going to add value for them as well. So one of the things, that I'm just going to remove that screen so that you guys can see clearly. So one of the most common things is monthly periods. This is something that one gets to experience from the time that, you reach puberty to the time that you're now entering menopause. And that's like a long period of years. That's like years, literally, of your life where you're having monthly periods, right? So so most of the time you find that, you can be experiencing painful periods. This actually means that you've got a high blood clotting rate, because yes, when you're on your period, your cervix is going to contract to allow those clots to be able to come out. But the rate at which you're actually producing clots that need to be pushed out is also then shows you that, there's something that is actually not right with your reproductive system, right? So this is something that, can be even from you can say even from the first month, ever since I started having periods, I have these painful cramps whereby I can't even walk, I'm crawling, or I have to bend over, and be rolling or, be constantly have a water bottle in my stomach, so it's been something that has been there for years. Being there for years does not necessarily mean that it's actually the state in which your reproductive system is supposed to be in, right? So there are so many other things that even develop as when we are still children. Then when we become adults and we're going through puberty, it actually manifests. Same as how, sometimes you can have a certain ailment that seems very minute and small, and then over the years, you actually then get to realize that it's actually becoming more exaggerated, right? So the other things are very irregular periods, very irregular periods, and then you find yourself having things like premenstrual syndromes, recurrent urinary tract infections, UTIs, and then continuous vaginal itchiness. There's some ladies that I've met that say, I don't remember when last I didn't feel itchy, right? So you're not just feeling itchy because you shaved. It actually shows that there's certain microorganisms that are living on your skin. So there's a lot of skin shedding, which is the reason why you keep feeling like you're itching, right? So it's actually a sign as well, because those are some of the signs that actually show you that if you don't treat that, you're going to find yourself with a UTI. If the urinary tract infection is also not treated, then it finds its way right into your uterus, which is then obviously another problem, right? So you might be saying, okay, what do I do then if I'm experiencing all of these things? So I'm going to be explaining how all of this is actually linked to hormonal imbalances. So as women, the nature of our body, the nature of our system is built also on not just our reproductive system in isolation. Our hormones actually have an impact on the rest of your body. It's not just to say they regulate your menstrual cycle, they actually also have an impact on the rest of your body as well. So you find that, for example, one might be saying, how do you get a urinary tract infection? So I'm going to be sharing in the slides to come as well. This is when microorganisms, let's say you visit Natasha is not cleaning her bathroom properly, right? You come, you sit on the bathroom, the microorganisms that are there find themselves, on the outside areas of your vaginal entrance, right? And find a way to go into your urethra. So when they go into your urinary tract, they actually lodge themselves in your bladder if untreated. This is when, you end up having bladder inflammations and discomfort and pain, depending on the level at which it has gone, right? So as ladies also, there's a lot of things that also then come with what the hormonal imbalance that I'm referencing about, our hormones, and the reason I'm actually starting to talk about hormones, because it's actually what distinguishes us the most, as men and women. It's actually what distinguishes the most. It's what the nature of our hormones is what actually makes our body looks the way it does, right? So you'll find that sometimes as well, if you have hormonal imbalances, you're going to have sexual health challenges. So whether you're married or not married, old or young, these are some of the things that you need to actually ensure that the sexual health of your reproductive system is in a good state, right? Because whether you're sexually active or not, it's actually still a sign of your reproductive system state, right? So lack of interest in sex during pregnancy, post having a child, during stressful times, and some women, it's just actually just all the time. There's a lady that spoke to me and said to me, I'm married, and for me, I just honestly look at my husband and I feel like he's my brother, right? So it's not even seasonal. So these are some of the things that we need to look at to say, okay, so what does that mean for me? Right? So there's difficulty in, low libidos due to emotional health and stress. So we're actually also living in a very highly stressful period right now. This is because, we're living in times where it's post-COVID. You've got a lot of things that are required from you. Sometimes you've got a lot of commitments at home. If you're working, you've got a lot of commitments at work. At work, they expect you to be as fresh as an op, like to say that you've arrived at 8 o'clock, you need to be as fresh, and healthy and, ready to conquer the day. But actually, your day started 2 to 3 hours ago. Right? So there's also a lot of things that lead to, like a lot of stress levels. And this also then affects things like your your hormonal balances. There's also pain during intercourse, and pain during intercourse can also be due to hormonal imbalance, or it can also be due to endometriosis. So this is where you have certain shifts that are happening in your uterus that you need to get out. Actually, just say, especially in this case, you need to just ensure that also you get your uterus checked, right? So this could also be due to what we call endometriosis. So you can also be taking some drugs that are actually resulting in sexual health challenges as well, right? Like antidepressants, anti-seizures. There's a lot of drugs that we take that actually also then affect this. Even most of the time when you're actually taking as well birth control pills, they actually lead to also vaginal dryness. So these are some of the things that we don't get to actually be able to discuss, because we actually have to use the birth control pill. So what do I do then, to avoid all of these things? So you find that you might be saying, okay, so what causes hormonal imbalance? It's the first thing is what we eat and don't eat. So the human body is designed in such a way that it allows you to be able to, that there are certain things that the body will even try and attract you to eating, because there are certain nutrients, right? Or ions that it needs for your body. So for example, for people that have, extended periods, you definitely need to have food that is going to be high in magnesium, because you need to replace that blood level, right? Because this is where you find yourself now getting headaches, and because of the prolonged menstrual cycles that you're experiencing. So what we eat and what we don't eat. So eating too much processed foods and sugars, insecticide, I want to actually stop at sugars. So most of us, including myself, I actually went through an era, where I used to feel like, I feel sad today. I'm going to have a chocolate. I'm going to have a slice of cake. I'm going to like all the sugars that one would be saying, okay, if you're understanding what I'm saying, you can just pop it in the chat as well, so that I make sure that you guys can still hear me and I'm still loud and clear and making sense and not just rambling up and about. So it's what we eat and what we don't eat also defines and actually also has an impact on our hormonal levels as well. So you find that, even the insecticides and pesticides that we use in our homes also have an impact. I'm going to explain this further. Right? Then we also have hormone-based dairy products, alcohol, caffeine, all these things. They also have, an impact on a woman's hormonal balance scale, basically. So you also need to be careful of the things that we apply on our bodies, like skin products, makeup, hair products, perfumes, even some of the cleaning products. So you'll find that some of these products, they actually have, we call them venoestrogens. They mimic hormones in your body, and it only takes like 26 seconds for them to be absorbed into your body. And the fact that these chemicals mimic hormones in your body, it means they're actually hiking up your hormonal levels as well, which is actually not even true. Then your body actually starts trying to build up a response to that, because it's got an indication that your hormonal levels are too high, right? So you don't have to remember what venoestrogens are, but just remember that it's in line with the fact that most of the products that we apply, we need to ensure that we are looking at natural, methods for most of the things that we apply on our skin, apply on our bodies as well, to ensure, that we are avoiding these venoestrogens that mimic hormones, right? So there's also toxin overloads in our bodies. These also cause hormonal imbalance. And then we also have things like, the conditions of things like pregnancy, breastfeeding, menopause, and pharmaceutical drugs. So remember I said, even when you're taking birth control, these are some of the things that actually come up as well, and they have an impact on your hormonal levels. So there's also other diseases like thyroid disease and being overweight and obese. So being overweight actually also has a huge impact on the amount of hormones that your body is going to store, because the body tends to actually hoard more fat the more toxins you're building up, and the more fat and weight you're accumulating, the more hormones those cells are actually producing as well. So stress is also another thing, because stress also ensures that even your body does not go into rest. That means your body is continuously working, continuously working. This is when you go to bed and you wake up, and you feel exhausted, like you don't even feel like you rested. You don't feel like there's any impact whatsoever. You actually feel like you're just moving from one day to the next without resting in between, right? So what are the symptoms of hormonal imbalance? The symptoms include things like mood swings, low libido, headaches, night sweats, food cravings, where you're trying to lose weight and you can see, because if you find yourself trying to lose weight and you're putting in all these efforts, to say, I'm reducing the, food intake, I've reduced sugar intake, I've increased things like your water intake, you are exercising, but you find yourself losing 1 kilo per month, that actually shows you that we have a problem of hormonal imbalance as well, right? So continuous tiredness, these are some of the things that show you that we actually have an issue of hormonal imbalance that actually needs to also be corrected, right? So one of the researchers that I actually, got to say, we really need to talk about this is because a lot of women are affected by breast cancer. So I know we have a lot of breast cancer awareness sessions and months every year. So I just want to know on the call how many of us have said, make it a point to say every year I'm going to go and get checked for breast cancer, hormonal levels, and cervical cancer. Those three things. How many of us say, every year I try and ensure that at least once I've gone to do that general checkup, for hormonal levels, to check and for breast cancer, and cervical cancer. Or even breast cancer, you can be able to even just check, to see, do I have any lumps? How often do you check these things? So one of the reasons why I'm actually bringing it here under hormonal balance is because 80% of breast cancer scenarios come from the environment. Remember, we spoke about the toxins that are even in cleaning materials, and detergents. Then there's the makeups, there's all these other things. So that's 80% from the environment, and pollutants as well, right? Then there also is the genetic aspect. This is where, let's say in your line, in your family, people have the genes that are much more prone to mutating and becoming cancerous. So this is where you say, okay, so my grandmother had breast cancer, my mother had breast cancer, my sister had breast cancer. Like it's a line you can actually see to say that it's a heritage. That actually shows that it's a family historic and there's genetic influence. This is genetic, basically, where your body is much more prone to having these things, right? So there's nothing much that we can do about genetic chances, because the only thing that you can do is, once you have realized that this is prone in my family, is to then make sure that you are taking certain supplements to decrease those chances, right? So you find that the genetics of a person, they are built up based on your parents, your mother, that they have 50% of your genes come from your mother, 50% come from your father, right? What actually then determines to say that you are a female are the genes and basically the chromosomes you get from your father. But now, when you get to see that actually in my family, we actually have a family historic line of, getting breast cancer or cervical cancer, whatever cancer it may be, then in that case, you need to be ensuring that you're actually taking certain dietary measures. So the reason why I'm actually saying dietary measures is because the body is built in a way where it's actually self-healing. So in order to ensure that your body is enabled to go through that self-healing process, you actually need to also help your body, right? You actually need to ensure that you help your body to be in that particular state, right? So what actually then surprised me the most was the fact that 97% of breast cancer, issues come from estrogen imbalance. And this is something that, where we actually don't really look into it, because how often do we say we went to, to the doctor or submitted a sample to get our hormones checked, right? And 97% is very substantial for one to take note of, right? So you find that also the fat cells that we have, when we actually gain weight and, we become bigger, and this is something that actually happens naturally to a lot of people because it's part of the process of becoming a mother, because when you get pregnant, you gain weight of about 40% of your normal weight, and that weight is actually difficult to actually get rid of the baby fat. But the unfortunate part is you've actually already gained the weight, right? And the fat cells actually then start producing estrogen. They are estrogen making machines. And this then leads to an estrogen imbalance, and of which we are saying in this case, 97% of the estrogen imbalance is one of the greatest contributors to women having breast cancer. So we need to ensure that, we take care of ourselves. It is really, really important for us to try, if it means even to, to try and trim our weight. It's not an overnight thing. Trust me, it's not an overnight thing. And it's actually not also age restricted. It doesn't matter whether you're young or you're old. The moment, you have to look at your BMI, your body mass index, to say, for example, I'm very short. I'm extremely short, for those that know me. So I can't be above a certain weight because it already is going to be too heavy for my bone density, my heart, capacity, and all these other things. So in this case now, for the breast cancer, we need to ensure that we at least maintain a healthy weight, right? How do you get to know what is your healthy weight? I can help you calculate this online calculators as well for you to be able to calculate your body mass index. So you don't necessarily have to be like, let's say if the body mass index is on like 65, you at least 67 thereabout, because your weight is obviously going to be plus or minus depending with what is happening around you. But you need to ensure that we at least maintain a healthy weight so that we do not contribute as well to that hormonal imbalance. So how do you balance your hormone levels naturally? You definitely need to ensure that you're getting a lot of food with vitamin D. Exercise. So when I'm saying exercise, I'm not saying be a gym fanatic, because not everybody wants to do that. But at least, try and make sure that you're active, 3-4 times a week. And when I'm saying active, I'm not saying go and lift up weights. I mean cardio. Like allow your heart should be, start pumping, and allow your body to really ensure that you're moving, right? You're moving and allowing your body to actually burn down the fat. So another thing that I'm going to explain at this particular point when it comes to weight as well is that sometimes you can find yourself in a position whereby you are exercising, you are eating well, you are actually trying to lose, but nothing is happening. This is where you find how you find how your body cells are hoarding to those fat cells, right? So the reason why your body will be holding on to those fat cells, the fats that are in your cells, is also because of high toxin levels. If your body does not get rid of if your body gets rid of the fat, it's not going to have any way to put the toxins to actually protect itself. So I'm going to explain how that happens. So for you to also ensure that you balance your hormone levels naturally, you need to also have maca root, coconut oil, holy basil tea, omega-3 fatty acids, right? Fenugreek, if you can also find it. So these are some of the things that you can use to balance your hormones naturally, right? So I know everybody that is on this call, if you know anyone, if you've ever had fibroids, or you know someone that has had fibroids, please share in the chat, right? So 70 to 80% of women will get fibroids by the age of 50. So you'll find that the reason why the statistics are now so high is because things have changed now. Like I'm myself, I'm a biochemist. I've got a whole career ahead of me, and I'm turning 29 this year. I don't have a child yet. What does that mean? It increases my chances of getting fibroids. Years ago, people used to start having kids when they're 18, 19, and it's not even when you're saying there's a 24-year-old with fibroids, it's not even something that you actually get to see, old people saying, no, this is a thing for old people. No, I'm actually going to show you one of the ladies that had fibroids before she even had kids. So the more one actually delays to have kids, or the delay in between kids to have the next one, it actually raises the chances of you also getting fibroids, because your body is actually in a state where every month is actually preparing to have a child, but due to hormonal imbalances as well. And I'm going to show you the polycystic syndrome, of where it actually ends up, bulging up in your body, and the next thing is producing, I want to show you what the fibroids look like. Inflammations like this, of foreign cells that are actually just have bulked themselves up. So they can be as tiny, as like 1, 2, 3 centimeters, or as big as a newborn baby. So what does this mean for you? You need to ensure that you get checked regularly, because if you actually get a fibroid detected and it's still small, you can actually still correct that through your diet. But now if you take so much time and you're actually not taking any dietary supplements, you're not doing anything to actually look after your reproductive health, by the time you feel it from the outside, right, it is as big as the ones that are on the top. And by the time it's as big as a newborn baby, there's nothing you can do. You actually now have to get operated. And for me, being someone that is in the medical field, I'll honestly say, if it is something that you can do for you not to actually then have to go through surgery, then do it. Because prevention is actually better than cure. Because most of the time, by the time you're actually now getting opened up, there's so many other things that have actually come up because of the things that you have been ignored over time. So for one to actually have a fibroid this big, it means it has taken years to develop. But if you find yourself that you've got fibroids that are like maybe 7 centimeters, 8 centimeters, these are things you can still correct. Give yourself 6 months to fix it, fix your hormones, fix this, your stomach, your uterus lining, fix all those things, be able to balance and clean your reproductive area, and you'll find that they will actually also start decreasing in size, because you've actually also hiked up your immunity. So your body is actually self-healing. Remember I said that. So when your body actually recognizes foreign materials like this, it actually tries on your behalf to try and actually get rid of that foreign material and attack those cells. But now, if it is ignored and you're not assisting your body as well, and it gets to the size of a newborn baby, there's absolutely nothing that your body can do at that point. Right? So there's a lot of things, for example, ovarian cysts. So the healthy ovarian cyst is on the left, your left, and then the inflamed one is on the right. So when we say inflamed, it's necessarily meaning that an organ has actually enlarged itself trying to fight, a certain infection, right? Similar to when, you get a mosquito bite, and then you're going to get that red bump. It's an inflammation. It's your body actually producing cells that are going to attack that infection that is trying to lodge itself there, right? So these are some of the things that we need to look at. So what is polycystic ovary syndrome? Right? And this is a condition where it's actually a very serious genetic hormone and metabolic issue that actually affects the reproductive system of women. And 1 in 10 women normally suffer from this, and normally it's undetected as well. So how can one be able to see, to say, do I have polycystic ovary syndrome? It could be irregular periods, it could be excess facial hair and body hair, right? So that actually already shows you that your hormones are not balanced, right? Then it could be severe acne. It could be the weight gain. It could be infertility. So a lot of infertility as well is mostly, it's not just to say that, your uterus is not in a good state for it to actually be able to carry a child. Sometimes it's actually contributed by being too, overweight, because when you're overweight, your hormones are also not balanced. If you're not eating well and you've got high toxin levels, then you actually don't have enough time to actually allow, an embryo to be able to form and actually be stable in your uterus, right? So there are a lot of things that contribute to this. So I want you to have a visual of what this means. So on a normal menstrual cycle, the normal ovary is on the top. You produce what we call a primary follicle. It grows and it develops over the month. It matures, then it releases an egg. This is when you bleed, right? When you've got polycystic ovary syndrome, the follicles in your ovaries, they form and they become secondary follicles, but somehow they stop, developing before they mature. So because it's not matured, it cannot be released out of your ovary. So that cycle keeps starting again. And this is when you're missing periods, right? You're actually accumulating cysts inside your ovary, because this is when all these unmatured eggs are just accumulating. And this is when you find yourself now in a position where it's looking this big, because it's actually collecting unmatured follicles inside, right? So these are some of the things that we need to ensure that we are on the lookout for. Don't just be like, I miss my periods, it's normal. No, don't leave things, for too long until it's actually now difficult to correct them. So we need to be able to ensure that we are looking after our reproductive health. So it is really, really important to ensure that you are paying attention to your body, you are listening to your body, to be able to understand. It's actually a good thing to be in a healthy state where you're actually not feeling any pain, because the body was not designed in a way that it needs to operate through causing pain, right? So there's a lot of things around birth control. So birth control is really important because obviously it allows you to plan how you're going to have your children, how you're going to grow your family. But there's side effects to everything. So I'm in the pharmaceutical side, and one thing that I'll teach you is that when we are producing pharmaceuticals, there's one active ingredient, which is what you're going to need. It can be an enzyme, it can be a chemical that is going to attach itself to a cell to actually give you the desired outcome that you want. But we obviously can't just give it to you just like that. There's also other chemicals that are added to it called excipients, right? These excipients are chemicals that are also designed to actually make the pill stable. They give us also things like the expiry date. They also it actually helps also with mass production of pills or whatever pharmaceuticals we're producing at that particular point. So how many of us actually read, whenever you're taking something, how many of us actually read the side effects? How many of us actually say, okay, I'm taking this medication, I've read the side effects, the leaflet that will be inside? Because you find yourself that sometimes you're actually taking medication for a headache and the side effect is migraines. So that is something that we actually need to raise awareness of. It's actually normal because you're in a point where all you just want is you want help, you want to be well. So the moment you get those pills, you pop them in your mouth, you drink water, and you're fine. But what are we doing in our body? Because remember, you only get one body, right? You only get one body for the entire period of your life. You only get the same organs for the entire period of your life. If you find yourself actually in a position where you now need organ transplant, then that's a problem. So you find that there are so many dangers of birth controls, things like they contribute to nutrient deficiencies, they increase the chances of someone getting cancer, they increase the chances of someone getting blood clots. And because of this, it actually also increases the chances of you having cardiovascular issues, heart attacks, whereby some of the blood clots travel through your blood vessels and lodge themselves. Next thing they find themselves either in your cardio system, and you end up having things like heart attacks and things like that. They also worsen things like candida. Candida, this is yeast infections. So I know that a lot of women are so used to having yeast infections. They're like, it's normal. I know I get this. I just give it a few days and it's over. But actually, what you need to realize, the yeast infection that you're seeing manifesting, coming out through your discharge, it actually started in your uterus as well. So I want you to think of the state that it will be in, right? Because if anybody has ever had yeast infection, then you understand, to say it doesn't even smell okay, right? And there is so many things that we need to consider. It's not just the discharge that is coming out. It is not just to say, the discharge is stopped, so that's fine. there's actually more to it. You actually need to be, it means you need to be more cautious as well about the products that you're using, about how you are treating your reproductive system. What are you taking to clean your reproductive system? Right? So someone is asking to say, is it only pills or every birth control? So every birth control has got its own issues. So you find that Depo and everything, some of these things, they also lead to excessive bleeding. So there's a lot of things. You just have to pick and choose what you can. But I would say that the most important thing is you do need the birth control, but you need to ensure that you actually also then take other supplements, dietary supplements, and the way you control your body, especially on the weight for women. You'll find that, especially if you're in birth control, I can easily tell, when I'm looking at someone, like if someone drinks pills, the first thing that is going to tell me before you tell me that you're taking birth control pills is the fact that you're going to have a lot of fat under your underarms, and you're going to have a lot of fat around your stomach, those two areas. It's one of the side effects that actually come from the birth controls, right? So there's also things, the urinary tract infections. So UTIs, as I was explaining, this is when you find that microorganisms find their way into your urethra, and then if not treated on time, they actually find their way to the bladder. That means the treatment that you actually now need at that particular point needs to be a bit much more, vigorous, right? So at the point where it's actually now also in your bladder, this means you might experience itchiness when you're going to the toilet to pee, or you might feel pain actually. So these are some of the things that we actually need to ensure that we avoid, because an inflammation in the bladder, this is actually an internal organ that is enduring an inflammation, that's the redness that you're seeing there. And then that means you now need to take antibiotics for you to actually clear that out as well, right? So there are so many things that you can be able to do in order to avoid that. Because now when we actually take so many, antibiotics, how many of us actually finish the course? How many of us actually say, even though I'm feeling better, I'm going to still finish these antibiotics? You can just write in the chat. How many of us actually say, I received, these pills to drink for 21 days. I'm feeling better on day 3. I'm going to continue my course and finish it. So about 1 in 4 women are likely to have recurrent UTIs. So the reason why the UTI, the uterine, the UTIs keep coming up is because, let's say you take antibiotics, you don't finish the course, the bacteria is not really cleared out, right? So like anything else in life, there are certain things that you go through. When you go through them the second time, you're actually stronger, if not immune to them. Bacteria is the same. When you actually expose it to antibiotics and then you don't completely kill that bacteria and get rid of everything, when you stop taking those antibiotics, you've just weakened it. That's why you're feeling better. That's why you're not seeing the effects of it. You've weakened it, but it's still there lying dormant. But what you've given it is time to mutate and actually become immune to those antibiotics. So this is why you find that so many times people have so many infections, and then the doctor has to say, I need to change your pills. I need to change your pills. It's because they're not working for you anymore. But unfortunately, we can't also just be loading, so many types of pills in our body, because our liver has to clear that out, right? So there's a lot of things where it comes to, if you don't actually take good care, if someone is saying it's hard, once I feel better, I stop. I totally understand, or somehow forget. So that is actually like one of the issues that are also there. And it's something that is normal to anybody, right? I'm sure all of us have been in that position. So you'll find that if you actually do not clear out those UTIs, and you don't clear out those yeast infections, you don't clear out to balance those hormones, and you've got all these other issues, you find that this is where you find yourself with pelvic inflammatory disease, your pelvis entirely going up into your womb. And this is where we really need to ensure that we can't continue to find ourselves in a position where we actually have bacteria going into our fallopian tubes. So fallopian tubes, I'm referring to the hanging threads on the sides. Because think about it, I want you to imagine it. Remember, when you get yeast infections, you get pills. Sometimes you also get creams that you put into your nether areas, right? How long is it going to take to clear a bacteria that is not just in your pelvic area, but also in your fallopian tubes, right? So this just means that, you know, your body will be just going through a lot. And remember, you're not just fighting infections in your reproductive area alone. There are so many bacteria that we're fighting every day, from the food that we eat, from so many things, the things that we touch every single day. You know, Corona made it so visual for everybody because it showed you that there's actually, you know, germs everywhere. And the more you, whatever it is that you touch, it actually has an impact on your health because you're taking it in. So I'm referencing it because it actually makes it more, it hits closer to home because it made it real. So it's just the unfortunate that most of the other microorganisms that we enjoy, they actually don't really, you know, show themselves as much. They actually lie dormant inside your body. They do what they need to do, and you actually don't feel it as it's starting. By the time you're actually now saying, okay, this is getting bad, you're actually now really in a lot of need, you know, for medical assistance. So on the left, there's the healthy female reproductive system. And then on the right, there's the reproductive system that has, you know, infections. So one thing that you need to really ensure that you are, you know, looking at, and one thing that you're observing, is the discharge that comes out of you. You need to ensure that, you know, you see to make sure that it's clear every other time of the month. When you're ovulating, it needs to be clear and stretchy. Anything outside of that, anything that is, you know, deep yellow to green, that means you definitely need to make sure that you are seeking assistance for your reproductive system. Or if you have discharge that comes out and it's watery and it has got lumps in it and it makes you feel itchy, you definitely need to make sure that you're getting assistance for that, right? So there's a lot of things that we need to ensure that we are, you know, looking at when it comes to our reproductive health as ladies. So the pelvic inflammatory disease, you can experience it, you know, you can through lower abdominal pain, pelvic pains, you know, heavy vaginal discharge, yellowish and greenish, which I was referring to. And everyone knows that the discharge of a lady has a certain smell. But when it actually get to a point where you can smell that it has a bad smell, then that means there's something that needs to be done when it comes to your reproductive system, right? So irregular periods. Remember, we spoke about polycystic issues. You know, these are some of the things. You know, unmatured follicles, irregular periods. We definitely need to look at that. Pain during intercourse. We spoke about endometriosis, right? When you are so prone to fevers and fatigue, painful urination. You know, lower back pain. So remember, I said as much as our hormones contribute so much to the reproductive system of a woman, they actually have an impact on your whole body, right? So we need to ensure that we are looking after ourselves. We are looking after our health. We are ensuring that each and every single thing that we are doing is actually, looking after our hormones, our hormone balance. What is it that we are doing to clean our body? What is it that we are doing to lose weight? What is it that we're doing to maintain that weight? So it's not something that you can be able to say, I'm just going to do, you know, for the next 7 days and then after that I'm done. No, these are lifestyle changes that we need to make. These are lifestyle changes that we need to make, right? Because as much as, yes, you know, I see it all the time, you know, someone will say, I'm giving myself 30 days. I want to lose as much weight during those 30 days. I'm not going to eat A, B, C, D. I'm going to do this. And they actually intentionally lose the weight. But the moment they lose the weight, they go back to the same activities that actually gave them that weight. The same things that you're running away from, that you're trying to avoid, you're now bringing them back. So we need to ensure that we actually we make lifestyle changes in order to ensure that we are actually maintaining our bodies in a healthy state. And one thing that we also need to remember is the fact that there's no woman that wants to age. We all want to age gracefully, right? And most of the things that, you know, we take in our bodies, and also this is where I'm sure most of you have noticed, when someone loses weight, they start looking like they are 5 to 10 years younger. right? Have you guys ever noticed that? They start looking like they're 5 to 10 years younger. Yes, this is because they have lost all that weight. And because they've lost the weight, your hormones start actually balancing. And because your hormones are now balanced, your digestive system is in a good state as well. You are actually absorbing as much protein as you can. So the protein actually stops the wrinkles. It stops, your body from looking like it's getting old. It removes all those, like the patch. Sometimes your skin can have patches where it's light and dark, like you've got multiple shades. These are some of the things that we can avoid, right? So the pelvic inflammatory disease can also lead to infertility. It can also lead to the blockage of your fallopian tubes. And where once your fallopian tubes are blocked, then that means now they have to be removed. And I've seen this happen to even young ladies at the age of 18. And I mean, this is something that is really not ideal, because at the age of 18 and now you're losing the ability to have children. So we would rather ensure that, that's why I said, as we're going through this, think about your health, think about your sisters, all the women around you, your mothers, your grandmothers, because we're all going in that direction. It doesn't matter at what age you are in. We are actually all women that are going through those stages. So when it comes to menopause, right, this is where we are all going. Would you go through a stage where you have your periods, your puberty, you're having your womanhood, with your fertile years, you have children, you're going through menopause? One thing that I want you to just remember is the fact that as the years go by, you find that menopause is actually becoming coming earlier. Years ago, people used to start experiencing menopause at the age of 70. This is where you find our grandmothers having kids at the age of 60. Now we've got people struggling to have kids at the age of 30, 35. 35 is actually now a stretch nowadays. So you need to actually be constantly at the doctor, getting checked and stuff like that. This is because the food that we're eating has entirely changed the makeup of humans that we have right now. Right? So menopause is actually meant to be a nice stage, because this is when you're not going on your periods anymore. But the issue comes to what you go through on your way to getting into menopause. There's the irregular periods, the hot flashes, the vaginal dryness, the mood swings, the night sweats, the loss of libido, the itchy skin, joint pains, right? A lot of hair loss, and all these things, fatigue, muscle tensions, all these things. So it's meant to be a seamless change. The same way you just woke up and you're like, oh, I started my period. It needs to be a seamless change. So if you are experiencing any of these things, I can't mention everything for menopause. Just, at least reach out. Let's have that talk. Let's have that conversation. So I'm not just going to cover the reproductive system. There are some other things, to be honest, that are actually really of essence to us. Like, we've covered the reproductive system, we've covered cancer, breast cancer, and all the things that are being led from, the hormonal imbalance, the reproductive side of things. There is also non-communicable diseases, right? So these are things like, where cancer, in this case, cancer also has a lot of different aspects. It can also be cancer that is in the spine, in your blood, anyway, right? So the two that I spoke about is especially the breast cancer, that is because of the estrogen, imbalance. Why would estrogen lead to high chances of estrogen balance? Remember, your hormones contribute to the mammary glands that are in your breasts, right? Those are the ones that actually trigger to say, okay, you've given birth, milk can now come out. This is what's now happening. This is the stage that you're now going into. It's the change in hormones that actually leads to that. So because of those changes in hormones, it also can then contribute. In this case, that's why I was saying 97% of breast cancer is actually due to estrogen imbalance, right? So we also have things like diabetes, blood pressure, malnutrition, respiratory diseases, cardiovascular diseases, right? And mental health. Mental health is really important, especially if you can also find someone that you can talk to. This is normally, the emotional side of you. Sometimes it can also be caused by, I've met a lot of ladies that are actually going through a lot of mental health because of self-awareness. Sometimes you can your body changes as a woman. Your body changes over the years, and you find yourself in a position whereby you've gained so much weight. Your body has changed. You don't fit in your clothes. You don't feel like your body suits your personality. You don't feel like you can be yourself anymore. Those are some of the things that actually people go through mentally as well. And unfortunately, it actually also has a health impact, like physical health impact. It actually also results in stress that can also have an impact on your organs as well. So there's a lot of things that are there. Diabetes. So diabetes is due to the irregulation of your sugar levels. So it's not just the sugar that you take, it's also the food that is broken down in your body to glucose, right? So if your body does not have that normal regulation of sugar, then that is where, of sugar levels, this is when you find that someone now has diabetes. Another thing to be aware of, a lot of people take blood pressure medication, they take all these medications that actually lead to diabetes. Diabetes also then affects things like your eyesight. It affects a lot of things. You find that most of the time, one issue leads to the other. So if you can actually find natural remedies that allow your body to actually get to a point of self-healing. I've, been exposed over the years to a lot of people that had diabetes. We worked through it to the point where, the doctor says, okay, let's reduce your dosage. After the dosage has been reduced, we continue working through it. It's not something that happens overnight, because remember, your body actually changed over a period of years after being, like where it was not being detected. So it actually takes some time, 6 months to a year, and then you find that now your body is now able to regulate its own sugar levels. You're not having to, have to inject yourself, because it's not an easy life. Because even when you go to people's houses and then now you're saying, okay, I need to inject myself because I've got diabetes, I need to do this. It's not something that is easy to discuss. There's so many people that are also living with HIV, right? And it's not something that they can be able to talk to their families about. But your diet actually, dictates how you actually get to be, even though you have that HIV, you can still be able to live a healthy lifestyle, through it all, right? So there's malnutrition. Malnutrition does not just mean to say, I'm just, like I'm looking malnutrition, that means I've got no. It actually also means the lack of vitamins and certain nutrients, inadequacy of nutrients and vitamins, as well as certain ions in your body. So you find that sometimes you can even be thinking, how can the doctor say I'm anemic when I'm this big? It is possible, especially if you are lacking things like magnesium, then such things actually then become prone to you as well, right? So there are a lot of things. So one of the main challenges is lack of proper nutrition, toxic overload, and free radical damage, right? So to remember, we discussed the fact that toxins can come from anywhere. So that years ago we used to plant our own vegetables, have a vegetable garden, have this, and we are able to control the quality of the food that we take in. Nowadays, we are not in a position whereby we can be able to say, I know exactly that the vegetable that I'm eating right now is not toxic because this is what was used to grow the vegetables. A lot of the food that we're eating, especially fruits and vegetables, are genetically modified in order to give people more value for less money. This is where you find that you even some chickens, they look humongous. And you wonder, how long did it take for that chicken to actually mature to become this big for it to be sold? So these are some of the things we need to think about. But it's not all of us, to say that are going to say, I can, personally afford to make sure that everything that I purchase is going to be organic food. And, I'm going to make sure that I'm reducing the toxin. I can't afford it, right? So there's a lot of things, and high toxins also lead to the release of a lot of free radicals in your body. So some free radicals are produced by your body. Some of them actually come through the food that you eat. And the free radicals, they attack the normal healthy cells, making them unstable. And then you find that you're actually then now losing healthy cells because of free radicals. Your body will naturally produce antioxidants to try and actually neutralize and get rid of these free radicals and repair what we call free radical damage, right? So there are a lot of things that actually also cause your body to start producing free radicals. If you're exposed to things like radiation, that's why you find that most of the time when you actually go for a scan, the person that takes you in is going to wear a suit, because they're actually trying to avoid their body from producing free radicals due to radiation received, right? Physical stress, alcohol, UV rays, pollutants and toxins, pesticides, lack of sleep, right? Obesity, smoke. So this is not just to say if you're smoking, smoke, even in the environment, right? Chronic inflammations, poor diets, and processed foods, and your metabolism as a whole. So your metabolism as a whole is really important, because I want you to picture it. If anybody has seen animal insides, I'm not going to talk of human insides. If anyone has seen animal insides, you will find that, it's mostly 2 to 3 meters long. So I want you to imagine and ask yourself, you take 2 liters of water and you pour in an empty column that has been, you empty the column first, and then you pour 2 liters. Is that 2 liters of water going to really clean that column and make it fit for you to say, I'm going to eat it if you're eating it? Right? So there's also the process of detoxification and elimination. This is where your liver starts getting rid of toxins, from your lungs, skin, and, your gut and all these other things. So sometimes you can find someone with chronic acne. It's actually a sign of toxins that are erupting out of your body through your skin as well, right? So side effects of and signs of toxicity of high toxin levels are things like arthritis, joint pain, the fibroids that are also coming up, inflammatory disorders, hormonal imbalances, obesity. Obesity is one of the biggest killers that we actually have right now globally. Headaches, cardiovascular diseases, all these things, and being so prone to allergic reactions, due to that. That actually shows also high toxin levels. So your liver can only do as much, but you also have to help your body to actually be able to get rid of all of these toxins. So for all ladies, you need to drink at least 2.7 liters of water per day. I know it's normally 2 liters, but if you can drink at least 2.7 liters of water, then that will absolutely help you, right? So I want us to think about, the free radicals that I spoke about. So on the top, we've got an example of an apple. If you leave an apple, it actually starts absorbing free radicals, it oxidates, and this is what happens, aging, right? So below, we're showing a normal cell attacked by free radicals. It actually goes through oxidative stress as well to the point where it actually dies. So this is whereby you see someone that is so young, yet looking so old, right? Or your body just doesn't feel, this is where also you find that even you are 30, but your body is operating at 50. There are so many things that, happen, that we need to be really, to ensure that we're actually looking at it. So there's a broad spectrum of nutrition. The human body heals itself, and nutrition provides the resources to accomplish this task. If you do not give your body the right resources through your nutrition, your dietary supplements, there's absolutely nothing that your body can do. Because remember, your body does not manufacture nutrients and all these things for you. You actually have to take it in. So a classic example, a lot of pregnant women that actually do not eat well, you find that especially even if they're not, if you say, I'm pregnant and I want to make sure that I'm going to be on a strict diet for myself because I don't want to gain weight, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, there are very high chances of you having giving birth to a child with Down syndrome, because you did not give them the nutrients they required for self-development, right? So we need to ensure that we do this. So people are fed by the food industry, which pays no attention to health, and unfortunately also treated by the health industry, which does not pay attention to the food that we take in. So to be fair, when you go to visit your doctor, there's a queue of patients. Your doctor doesn't have time to ask you to say, where do you buy your food? What did you eat this morning? What do you normally eat? What are you doing about your diet? Where are you buying your food? Do you believe, though that they treat the condition that you've shared and what they have found, right? And unfortunately, the food industry is also trying to make money. So you are in between. You need to ensure that you're actually doing something in order to support your body. So we need to ensure that we actually supplement. So this was actually a research that was done by Dr. Walter from the Harvard School of Public Health, that he recommended that your dietary supplements should be included as part of a healthy diet, right? as part of a healthy diet. So you'll find that, I don't know if my slides are changing on your side. Okay, I don't know. Someone can tell me in the chat if my slides are changing. So I'm really, really excited about this because I've been a health enthusiast for years now, for a lot of years. And I managed to partner with a company called Forever Living, which actually only produces products out of aloe vera. Why aloe vera? Remember, we even, Notoro says it hasn't changed on my side. Okay, let me try and stop sharing and reshare. Let's see if that is going to work. Okay. You can just let me know if you can now see my screen. It looks like you can only see me. There's load shedding where I am, by the way. So I'm now in the dark. Don't be surprised. It doesn't look like it's sharing. My apologies. These devices have a certain tendency of doing this to us. I'm trying to see if it's loading. Oh, awesome. Okay. So, I was just saying that dietary supplements should be included as part of a healthy diet, which is really, really important to ensure that you're actually giving your body the resources that it requires for self-healing. So I partnered with a company called Forever Living that actually produces aloe vera gel, products basically based on aloe vera alone. And the reason why I actually decided to partner with them is because their products are of high quality. And if it's something that you're putting into your body, you have to be sure of the quality. You have to be sure that it is certified. You have to be sure that it is something that actually has been certified by at least more than one board, right? And why aloe vera gel? Remember, we spoke about free radicals. You'll find that actually aloe vera gel is one of the only plants, some people even call it a miracle plant. It's one of the plants that actually produces the highest level of antioxidants that can actually protect one, in their body. So there are a lot of things that one can be able to look at when it comes to these products. So one thing I'm going to state right now at the beginning is the fact that these products are not to replace your pharmaceutical products or medicines, right? This is not medicine. It is dietary supplements with medicinal properties, right? So you'll find that if you still, if you have any chronic ailments, you're still going to take your chronic medication in conjunction with the dietary supplements until as and when your doctor actually says to you, seeing that your body has normalized, we can reduce your dosage or we can actually allow, because your body is now healing itself, right? So the first thing is that we have what we call aloe vera gel drinks. So there's the aloe vera gel, which is 99.7%, which is what I drink every single day. Then there's also Forever Freedom. That is, it's going to load just now because I'm actually seeing that you're still on the previous slide. Yeah. So there's also what we call Forever Freedom, which is really, really good, for flexibility, joint health, and the likes. So you find that aloe vera is one of the strongest antioxidants, as I highlighted, and it also heals your gut. So why is your digestive system, your gut, so important? If your digestive system is dirty, it is not going to be in a position to actually absorb any nutrients. So you can take all the nutrients you want, but if your digestive system is not clean, it's not going to be able to actually absorb. Yes, the food and the stool that you eat and everything that comes out in the stool that comes out, it is actually pushed out through a process called peristalsis, but the grooves that are inside your stomach linings do not completely become clean. That's why I said, remember, if you imagine a colon, you empty all the stool out and you leave it, it flat out, and then you pour 2 liters of water. Will it be clean enough for you to say, I can cook this and eat? And the answer is no, right? So water is not enough. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Water is not enough. Water is good. And also the bigger thing that we need to understand is that water actually enables most of our cells to function. So it is highly absorbed in our in the big colon in your stomach, right? It's actually highly absorbed so that it can be able to be used by the body. So by the time your stool is actually coming out, there's actually almost like less than 5% of water in that stool, unless if you're someone that is drinking way more than the 2.7 liters I even mentioned, right? So the aloe vera gel also enables to balance your hormones. It's also good for your skin, because also it's getting rid of those toxins that we spoke about, right? So in this case, you are drinking the aloe vera gel to enable your body to also use the properties of the aloe vera gel to heal your body, right? Remember, we said your body is self-healing, but you need to give it the right resources. So if you find yourself that you are struggling to lose weight, clean your gut. If you're finding that you're eating well, but you still have issues with things like, your reproductive system. I had issues with my, periods, my menstrual cycles. They were just not regular properly. And the pain was a bit much, and sometimes I'm at work and you're in a meeting and you're honestly trying to focus, but your concentration is so low because of the pain that you're going through, right? So you find that when I started drinking the aloe vera gel, for the past 3 months, I don't have period pains anymore. And one of the products that are also really important is the cranberry, the one that is in red. The cranberry contains what we call proanthocyanins, right? So the proanthocyanins, they actually stop bacteria from sticking in your uterine walls. So why is this important? Remember, we spoke about UTIs, we spoke about yeast infections, we spoke about the infections that go into your pelvis. We need to ensure that that area is not comfortable for bacteria to actually sit and multiply, right? So that is what the berry nectar actually does. This one is called aloe berry nectar, right? So what I'm saying is it's got proanthocyanins that stop bacteria from sticking in your uterine walls and actually reduces the chances of you getting the UTIs and the fungal infections. So if you've had a fungal infection on this call, or if you've had a UTI, you definitely need to ensure that if you don't get anything else, get the berry nectar, right? Get the berry nectar. That is going to allow your reproductive system to actually not just be clean, but actually also allow the immune system to be strong enough to not just be prone to say, if you use any certain product already, you've got bacteria that is lodging itself in your urethra or in your uterine walls, right? So there are a lot of things. And one of the things that are really important as well is that the cranberries that are in the berry nectar, they are superfoods that we actually refer to say that they're high in antioxidant levels. They also provide urinary health. They also add vitamin C. That is really important as well, and then you find that it also has anti-inflammatory effects. So if you've already have issues where you've got certain inflammations inside your reproductive system or even your bladder, this is definitely going to help you. Because remember, when you drink the berry nectar, it's also going to be absorbed into your bloodstream. It's going to be taken up by the cells in your organs as well, and they are going to be absorbing the actives that I'm referring to, the proanthocyanins, the antioxidants. They're going to be absorbing all of these things that actually then aid your body to help your body as well, right? So there's a lot of things that are there. So one of the things, the major things I spoke about was weight. So I said the more weight you gain, the more body cells you accumulate, the more those fat cells are producing more estrogen, the more your hormones are also not balanced. So we need to ensure that we are maintaining a healthy weight, right? So one of the natural ways to be able to lose weight is this 9-day, it's called a Clean 9. So it's a natural cleansing program. It removes toxins from the body and also from the fat cells. So why it's removing toxins from the fat cells is because if you don't remove the toxins, your body is going to hold on to those fat cells to protect itself from those toxins. So the C9 removes the toxins, which then allows your body to release the fats. And most of us as a woman, you want to lose fat in the right areas. So you'll find that the C9 is a cleansing program that is going to allow your body to actually lose most of the visceral fat. This is fat around your tummy area, which is actually the most dangerous because it also has issues which lead to things like diabetes and cardio health, right? So it actually allows your body to lose most of the fat. You'll realize that it comes from the tummy area, and then this will also assist, especially if someone also has infertility issues, because remember, the higher the weight, the more your hormones are going up, the more your hormones are not balanced, the less the chances of you being fertile as well, right? So it's a rock and a hard place where you definitely need to also ensure the digestive system is in the right place, my reproductive system is in the right place, my weight is also healthy. Those three things as a woman are really, really important. Even if you're taking birth control pills, when you find that your weight is actually now at a healthy level, the chances of you experiencing those cardiovascular issues are actually lowered as well. The chances of your estrogen levels going up, and the next thing is also making you prone to things like breast cancer, it's also lowered as well. So these are some of the things that one can be able to do for themselves to actually reduce the chances of you finding yourself in a position where you actually now have chronic diseases, right? So these are some of the people that have used these products after having kids, and then they decided to say, I want to lose the baby fat and go back to where I used to be. So this is using the Clean 9 program, right? That I'm showing here. This is one of the ladies that really inspires me. Her name is Dr. Elizabeth Riwa. It's just loading now. And she's a medical doctor in Tanzania. And she actually decided to say, I want to share with every woman about this weight loss program because it helped her. It is not easy to be able to be in a position whereby, you actually get to a point where you've lost all the fat that you accumulated while you're having kids to go back to the weight that you were before, you were a mother. I'm sorry, there's a delay on your side because I can see on my other screen that it hasn't loaded. Okay. So that's her in mustard. This is after using the Clean 9, right? And then in gray, that's before. So there's a lot of things that we need to ensure that we do. So there's also what we call Vitalize for Women. So Vitalize for Women also contains apple powder, passion powder, and these are really, the Vitalize for Women was actually designed with women in mind, right? With women's health in mind. So the apple and passion powder, it actually helps you to calm, and actually it helps your body deal with stress. Because remember, I said there's a lot of things that are actually hiking up our stress levels nowadays, which actually end up leading to actually more other issues, health ailments that we end up experiencing, right? So it also contains things like the vitamin B6 that supports your hormones, and menstrual flow, vitamin B12, nervous system, immunity, all these vitamins that you need. And then vitamin E that fights free radical damage. So it's really important to actually also have this. So it's not just about, applying things like anti-aging creams and stuff outside. You actually need to make sure that the inside of your body is in a healthy state, and it will translate to what is outside. right? And Vitalize for women, it actually has a lot of advantages because it also has calcium, which is also good for your joint health. At the same time, it has magnesium, which is good for your blood levels, because remember, you experience these menstrual cycles every month, and that means you're actually losing a lot of blood. So you definitely need to ensure that you've got magnesium and iron supplements as well that you take. So it's giving you all of that in one, right? So there's a lot of things that one can be able to say, this is what I want to look at, this is what I want to be able to get. So you find that there's also, a lot of things. We spoke about sexual health, for women. The sexual side of everything, when even if when you're a woman, it's not meant to be undesirable and unpleasant, right? It's meant to actually, it's a natural process of life, so as long as your reproductive system is in a healthy state, you should be able to enjoy the sexual side of your body, and actually understanding that your reproductive system is in a healthy state. So we've got Maca. So Maca was one of the things I actually mentioned, to say these are some of the natural things that you can take to balance your hormones, right? So Maca, it does not just balance your hormones, it actually also helps with improving your memory. It actually also increases your energy levels. It also helps your body to deal with stress, and mood swings that are due to your hormonal imbalances, support hormone production, and relief from fatigue, right? So all these things. And another thing, it also helps with people that have issues with vaginal dryness. The vaginal cervical mucus that is produced, it actually also helps with the generation of that, because it helps with your reproductive health. It's actually also best for both men and women. So if you're in a position where you're trying to, there's fertility issues and you're trying to probably conceive, then this is something that you can take together as a husband and wife, or whoever with your partner, that you're trying to have a child with. It's actually best, to be able to say you take it together, and you also be able to increase the fertility on both sides, right? So it is actually really best for women. We also have what we call the royal jelly, and I really absolutely love this product because it's something that I really prefer, and it's just loading on the side. So you find that royal jelly is it's a it's a small pill that you put under your lips, right? Just under your tongue, and it boosts concentration, and it helps to relax your body. It's not all of us that go for massages all the time, and sometimes your muscles are tense, and sometimes you actually feel this because whenever you do certain movements, you can feel that your either your muscles are going into a spasm, or your joints are actually responding to the movements that you're making. That actually shows you that there's a lot of fatigue. Your body needs that relaxation as well. So the royal jelly, it helps with that relaxation, to relax your body, to get rid of migraines as well. And for women, it also allows your reproductive system to normalize, right? So it also helps you with producing healthy eggs as well. So if you're someone that is suffering from the PCIS that we spoke about, this is something that you also need, so that you can be able to produce healthy eggs that actually go through to maturity and be able to be released for you to have normal menstrual cycles, right? So for some people, they actually call it a fertility food, superfood, because it has led a lot of people to, especially if someone is struggling with fertility, it is something that one can be able to take, and it also helps, even for children, the baby development, fetus development in the female body. It actually also increases that, the chances of one being able to produce all the nutrients that they need for their unborn child as well, right? So there's so many, one joyful moment for every woman, for most women, is to say, I've been able to, have a child. And you find that there's actually one lady that actually shared to say that I've been blessed with twins at the age of 38, when I'd already given up, and all thanks to 3 bottles of berry nectar and multi-marker. Her name was Naomi, right? And this is something, that one can be able to say. And, most of the times our marriages actually also get affected and impacted by this. And, this is something that she shared, to say that our products are saving marriages and are cheaper than in vitro and other things. People pay over 30,000 just to conceive. And she only managed to do this with 3 bottles of berry nectar and 1 of maca. Right? So these are some of the things that we have to look at. And before we even go far, I just want to also share that, so if for everything that I've shared, if you're saying, I don't know where to start, the first thing that you need to do is to at least get the berry nectar. I spoke about the berry nectar a lot. The berry nectar, the jelly, the royal jelly, Vitalize for Women, those 3 things, right? If you're someone that is also looking for conceiving, then you can add maca to that. Those are the 3 things that as a woman, you definitely need to at least ensure that you have, right? So for me, aloe vera gel and berry nectar is something that I drink every day, because remember, this is not medicine. These are dietary supplements. It's something that I drink every day, which is the reason why my energy levels are always normal. I don't have days where I feel like, oh my God, I just feel so drained, to say that by the time you get to Thursday, you are finished. Or to say I've got headaches because I'm on my period, or I'm in pain because I'm on my, those things actually become things of the past, because your hormones actually become so balanced that even you can feel yourself. And even the size of your stomach, when there's certain things that happen, to say you start getting bloated, you've got gas and all these things that are just, making your stomach become bigger and bigger. As you actually start balancing your hormones, managing your diet, managing all these things, you realize that your body will naturally start to adjust, right? So we also have what is called Actic C. Actic C is really good because it's loaded with omega-3 and omega-9. And these are some of the things that I mentioned, to say for hormonal imbalance, you need to make sure that you're taking foods that are high in omega-3 fatty acids and omega-9 as well. So, this is for all ages. And if you are a mother that is here, this is something that you can get, that you can also take with your kids, because it's very good for concentration, brain development. So you find that a lot of ladies actually take this, they drink it as well, and then they also give to their kids. And especially for if you've got a child that is a slow learner, a child that struggles to concentrate or remember, right? Or if you're pregnant, this is really good for brain development. And it is a strong inflammatory solution, right? So for tumors and cysts and things like that, it is very good when it comes to as an inflammatory solution. Then we've got bee propolis. So bee propolis is a strong anti-inflammatory product as well, and it also reduces the chances of various cancers, right? So remember, I said sometimes you might actually say, in my family, we have a high level of, cancer. My grandmother had cancer, my mother had cancer, my sister had cancer. So you, instead of living in fear to say, oh my God, does this mean I'm also getting it? You can at least do something. So you find that this Forever Bee propolis, it actually also reduces the chances of you getting various cancers. It helps you reduce the chances. So what is cancer? Cancer is when a normal body cell mutates itself to become what is now being called cancer, in a way that it keeps multiplying and multiplying, and it's actually producing. This is where you find someone saying they've got a cancerous lump. It's just what it started with one cell that mutated from being a healthy cell. It changed itself, it became a foreign body, and it started multiplying very quickly into a lump, and now it lodges itself. So depending with the way it lodges itself, sometimes you can feel it, sometimes you can't feel it, because it's maybe too deep inside your body, therefore you can't feel it externally. That's why when they say you're checking yourself for breast cancer, you need to lift up your arm to try and make your breast flat, so that you can be able to really try and feel inside the nodules to say, is there anything? But of course, there's still a chance that you might miss some of these things, right? So there are so many things that are there. So one of the things that I want to share, I think Gwen highlighted here that there's a young lady that was actually diagnosed with fibroids at a very young age. So the reason why I'm sharing this is because sometimes we actually look at these things and we're like, I think I'm still far. I don't need dietary supplements. I'm in my 20s, right? So this lady, her name is Rafia, and as young as she is, she was actually diagnosed with 3 fibroids. right? And at that particular point, what actually saved her was the fact that the doctor then said, you don't have, your blood levels are too low for us to be able to operate to remove those three fibroids. So the fibroids, one was 7 centimeters, 4 centimeters, and 3 centimeters, right? So you find that, as she actually then left, to try and increase her blood levels, she happened to bump into someone that actually introduced her to these products. But she then said, no, I'm looking for products that are going to improve my blood levels because I need to go for an op, right? Then they said, what are you getting operated for? Then that's when she shared to say, I've got fibroids. I've got 3 fibroids that have been identified. So she then got to take these supplements and she took them religiously for 3 months. So when I'm saying religiously, it's not a by the way thing. It's every day to try and make sure that, and getting your hormones checked, what's the progress. And in those 3 months, when she managed to go back, to the doctor, the 2 of those fibroids, the 4 centimeters and the 3 centimeters, were gone. That means the body actually received nutrients enough and the supplements it required to break down those cells until it was nothing. There was nothing left. Because remember, I said your body actually has self-healing properties. So most of the times we actually just, accept certain conditions and we accept certain treatments, but we're actually not looking at what is the alternative that I can have. So seeing that, she was now left with 1 fibroid left, the doctor actually advised to say, so in that case, let's not operate, continue at least for another 3 to 6 months. Let's see where you are. And today, she's actually a mother of 2 with absolutely no fibroids anymore, right? And for her, it was actually a bit of a traumatic experience because when she was being diagnosed and being told that, you're going to need to get your fibroids taken out, there was an 18-year-old who also went in with fibroids and ended up coming out with no uterus because the way the fibroids had lodged themselves in her uterus, they couldn't save it. Because remember, your uterus can't be perforated for you to be able to conceive and be fertile. So these are some of the things, that we have to be looking at, so our health as ladies is not a by the way thing. Our body is so complex that we need to ensure that we are looking after it. We are doing everything that we can to make sure that we stay healthy. So of course, some of the things that then come up is menopause, and in menopause, you going through menopause and, there's a change in hormonal, in your hormones, and then there's a lot of discomfort that people feel, so these are some of the products that you can be able to say, I want to get for myself as I'm going through menopause, or I want to get for my mother, or I want to get for my grandmother, because menopause actually affects a lot of things. Right? So you'll find that here I've actually listed a few things that can be able to help someone that is in menopause. But you'll see that the same thing that is there is the the berry nectar vitalized for women, the royal jelly. Because these products have actually the nutrients that are designed for women in mind. Right? So there's a lot of things that also then have an impact in our normal health, which is our joint health, our joints, what are we experiencing. And you'll find that there's a lot of issues that come up, with our joints, sometimes where your knees are giving in, your joints, they don't feel lubricated anymore. By the time you sit, you'll find that sometimes your feet are accumulating water because of, certain things, blood pressure, all these other things that are there. So there's Forever Freedom. This one specifically, it helps you with mobility and flexibility around your joints. So I want you to think of a bolt and a nut, so when you're trying to screw things together, if there is no lubrication, it will be very difficult for you to unlock it again. Same thing when it comes to your joints. Your joints are in contact with each other every single day, brushing against each other. And bones are actually made out of hard material, cartilage as well. So you need to ensure that they are highly lubricated to avoid bone degeneration. Bone degeneration is when you find that they say your hip has now degenerated to such an extent that you can't use it anymore. We need to take it out and give you and put an implant. And most of the time, it is a solution at that particular time, but you will find that it's not a permanent solution. That implant is going to expire. When it has expired, it's going to also give you other issues. You will find yourself going back for review surgery right? So there's a lot of things that we can be able to look at. So I'm seeing some of the questions to say, how much are these products? I'll be able to share the website and the price of the website with you. And yes, they are available in Zimbabwe. They are available globally. And then there's also someone asking me to say, can people with diabetes or high blood pressure use Forever Freedom? Yes, they can. It will actually help because aloe vera is very good at actually allowing your body to regulate your insulin levels. That means it's going to be good for their diabetes. It's also good for the blood flow for your blood flow. So therefore, it also helps with the high blood pressure. I would also recommend that they take the yellow aloe vera gel with it, so that they can be able to counter those two things together, right? So there's also a lot of things, when it comes to the joints, bones, and muscles package. So the human anatomy is made in such a way that even your spine has got, bones that are linked to certain discs that absorb the pressure when you're moving around, when you're moving your body. So when I'm saying discs, you can actually feel it on your back. While I'm talking to you, that you can feel the bumps to say that this is now, I've jumped a bone, now I'm in between. That's actually a disc that is separating those bones. So you find that if someone now comes and says, I have pain in my back, right? And there's certain, I'm feeling a bump that is unusual. There's things that actually move, where you find that the disc can actually be inflamed, and this is actually also pressing against another nerve. Or you can find that the bones themselves, that disc has degenerated and the bones are now coming bone to bone. And this is where you find that the pain is actually really, it's not something that you'd wish upon anyone, but you would rather actually, ensure that you prevent most of these things by actually just what you eat. Remember, we are what we take into our body every single day, right? So one of the other things that I really love is the super greens, because they have a lot of magnesium. Why is magnesium important? Because we experience natural loss of blood all the time. So you need to make sure that you're having that, taking that magnesium. This is something that anyone in your household can take, your children can take. So you'll find that I've already mentioned three things actually, that everybody in your household can take. Everyone in your house can take Actic C, especially your children. It's really important, especially for school and, concentration span, brain development. It is really important because sometimes, children end up going through certain things in life because, they've been classified as a slow learner, but actually it's just a slow brain development. So you need to aid them with that, so that they don't find themselves actually, being put in with people that are not of their intellect level, and then they end up actually being accustomed, like sometimes I see a lot of kids actually saying, no, I'm naturally, slow, I don't understand these things. It's actually built into their mindset now. So you need to make sure that you protect them at a very early stage with Actic C. Then super greens, this is something that you can mix with your aloe vera in the morning. It's green, it's like a vegetable supplement. It's green as the powder that is showing there. So the super greens have a lot of magnesium and they are very important. And especially when it comes to cramps for women, you realize that because of the high levels of magnesium, you will not be experiencing cramps anymore, right? So it is really good to also help you get healthy blood levels, and also to help your body to be more alkaline. So when I say more alkaline, I'm talking about the pH level in your body. And this is important because the more alkaline your body is, that also means you are reducing the chances of non-communicable diseases from, being too comfortable in your body, because most of them require your body to be in an acidic state, right? So that is what I just wanted to highlight from there. So don't miss out on the berry nectar as a woman. That's one. Vitalize for women. That's two. And then the third is the Actic C, or you can be able to get the super greens. So if you also have other things, just make sure that you ask me, and then we can be able to make sure that whatever you're getting is tailor-made to you within your budget, but start somewhere, right? So you'll find that one of the most important things, of course, is the things that we use on our skin, because remember I said there's what we call venoestrogens that come from the things that we apply on our skin that end up mimicking hormones in our body. So aloe liquid soap is really good because it actually allows your body to have that smooth feeling, and actually a clear skin tone, for your body to have that natural glow, right? Because of the aloe vera that is being absorbed into your skin, it rejuvenates your skin cells. This means your skin cells are not too quick. They don't age too quickly. They get rejuvenated through the aloe, right? Aloe vera jelly is something that one should always have. It's very good for healing. So it's like I actually refer to something that you can use for first aid because it's got antibiotic effects as well. So that means when maybe somebody gets hurt, you can be able to apply aloe vera gel. It protects that area from being infected. It also promotes healing. So like recently, there's someone that actually told me that they had stitches on their head. They used the aloe vera gel. It has actually quickly closed up as well. So this is something that one can be able to use. It's also good for your face, for removing things like dark under eyes and just allowing your face to actually rejuvenate, the cells to be able to rejuvenate themselves. There's aloe propolis. This one is really good, especially for someone with chronic acne. You can also use it as a hand cream. There's a lot of things that you can be able to use it for. So the bottom line, what am I saying to you, ladies? You need to love yourself. So I understand that, you would have so many commitments, so many things that you need to attend to, so many people that you need to serve as a woman, so many things that you need to do on a daily basis. But the most important thing is your health. There's no home that actually stands without a woman. We are the type of people that actually make things happen. Whether you're working or you're not working, it absolutely doesn't matter. It's the presence, your presence as a woman, the abilities that you have that actually make life to be what it is. So I want to just encourage all of you to say, love yourself, love your reproductive system, love your body, because you only get one. And be able to say, this is what I want to do for myself. This is how, I need to improve my body. Every month, at least have something that you can be able to take and be able to say, I'm doing this for the health of my body, for my reproductive health. If it means that you're doing something to make sure that you don't have cramps anymore, do that. If you're doing something about your weight, please make sure that you start there. That is really important. And if you're doing something about your weight, make sure you've actually detoxed first to allow your digestive system to be at optimum level, right? And even for all these supplements that I've said, you need to make sure that you have detox first so that your body can even absorb the supplements that we're talking about, right? So also make sure that you do frequent medical checkups. I shared with you guys the story about the fibroids. The moment you get certain things like that detected while they're still starting, you still have a chance to correct them, using dietary solutions. So try and make sure that you do frequent medical checkups at least once a year, right? Get your blood pressure checked, your sugar levels, your hormones, get your cervix checked, get yourself checked for breast cancer, right? Those are the main things as a woman that you need to make sure that you get checked. So your health is an investment. It is not an expense, and you need to ensure that you prioritize your health. When you're budgeting to say, I'm going to buy tampons, I'm going to buy pads, I'm going to buy a face cream. Sometimes we are so quick to say, no, I want to buy a dress, I want to look good, I want to feel good. But you are looking at the outside of your body, what is happening on the inside, which is what matters the most. Because if you're not healthy, you can't even wear heels with arthritis. You can't even wear most of the things that you would want to wear because at the moment I'm now overweight in certain areas, or certain things are giving me pain. I can't wear something tight because once it presses against my abdomen, I'm now in pain, right? So I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say, but we need to prioritize our health. We need to ensure that our health comes first. So I just wanted to say this is what I wanted to share with you guys. I hope that I've added value to you tonight. And, above all, I really appreciate you taking your time to be here, and with me. I'm sorry I'm in the dark now. So I just want to say, I really appreciate that. And